Guardian's silence has let the UK trample on Assange's rights in effective darkness. Julian Assange has been hounded out of public life and public view by the UK and US governments for the best part of a decade. Now he languishes in a small, airless cell in Belmarsh High Security Prison in London, a victim of arbitrary detention, according to a UN working group, and a victim of psychological torture, according to Nils Melzer, the UN's expert on torture. If Judge Vanessa Barretza, presiding in the Central Criminal Court in London, agrees, as she gives every appearance of preparing to do, Assange will be the first journalist to face a terrifying new form of extraordinary rendition to the United States for espionage, for having the courage to publish documents that expose US war crimes and crimes against humanity. The Guardian worked with Assange and WikiLeaks on vitally important documents now at the heart of the US case against Assange, known as the Afghanistan and Iraq war logs. The latter were published exactly a decade ago today. They were a journalistic coup of global significance, and the paper ought to be profoundly proud of its role in bringing them to public attention. During Assange's extradition hearing, however, The Guardian treated the logs and its past association with Assange and WikiLeaks more like a dirty secret that it hoped to keep out of sight. These scoops, furnished by Assange and whistleblower Chelsea Manning, enriched the paper financially and bolstered its standing internationally. They also helped to pave its path into the lucrative US market. Unlike Assange and Manning, The Guardian has suffered no consequences for publishing the logs. Unlike Assange and Manning, the paper has faced no retribution. While it profited, Assange continues to be made an example of to deter other journalists from contemplating following in his footsteps. 1. The Guardian owes Assange a huge debt for allowing it to share in the journalistic glory of WikiLeaks' revelations. 2. The Guardian owes Assange a duty of care as its partner in publishing the logs. 3. The Guardian owes Assange its voice loudly denouncing the abuse of a fellow journalist for doing the essence of journalism, holding the powerful to account. 4. The Guardian owes Assange and its own staff and the young journalists who will one day take their place its muscle in vigorously defending the principle of a strong and free press. 5. The Guardian owes Assange and the rest of us a clear profession of its outrage as the US conducts an unprecedented assault on free speech, the foundation of a democratic society. And yet, The Guardian has barely raised its voice above a whisper as the noose has tightened around Assange's and by extension our neck. It has barely bothered to cover the dramatic and deeply disturbing developments of last month's extradition hearing or the blatant abuses of legal process overseen by Barretza. The Guardian has failed to raise its editorial voice in condemnation either of the patently dishonest US case for extradition or of the undisguised mistreatment of Assange by Britain's legal and judicial authorities. The paper's many columnists ignored the proceedings too, except for those who contributed yet more snide and personal attacks of the kind that have typified The Guardian's coverage of Assange for many years. It is not too late for the paper to act in defense of Assange and journalism. Assange's rights are being trampled underfoot close by The Guardian's offices in London because the British establishment knows that these abuses are taking place effectively in darkness. It has nothing to fear as long as the media abdicates its responsibility to scrutinise what amounts to the biggest attack on journalism in living memory. Were The Guardian to shine a light on Assange's case, as it is obligated to do, the pressure would build on other media organisations, not least the BBC, to do their job properly too. The British establishment would finally face a countervailing pressure to the one being exerted so forcefully by the US. The Guardian should have stood up for Assange long ago, when the threats he and investigative journalism faced became unmistakable. It missed that opportunity, but the threats to Assange and the causes of transparency and accountability that he champions have not gone away. they have only intensified. Assange needs the Guardian's support more urgently, more desperately than ever before. That's from Jonathan Cook, former Guardian journalist from 1994 to 2001 and winner of the Martha Gellhorn Special Prize for Journalism.